What's going on, guys? Carmine here, and welcome back to the part 2 for my best Game of Thrones show theories. Once again, the show may be over, but I've always found myself looking back and thinking of all the wasted potential and things they could have done and implemented but never did. The books are known, especially on YouTube, for a plethora of plausible theories about characters and events, and the HBO adaptation kind of scraps this, and sometimes it seems like they do it on purpose, as we'll find out later. If you missed my part 1, I'll leave it in the description below so you can check those out, but in this video we'll be looking at two of my favorite theories out there, one of which I would consider one of the best theories ever constructed for both book and show, if you can believe that. As always, if you enjoy the channel, please leave a like and sub, and it's always appreciated, of course, and don't forget to hit that bell button and all that good stuff. But for now, let's get into it. And before we start the video, I want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, Star Trek Fleet Command. In this free-to-play mobile game, you can explore and experience the Star Trek universe the way you want, with classic characters by your side, such as Kirk and Spock. And in the captain's chair, you'll have the freedom to build and upgrade any ship in the series, like the Enterprise, and recruit your own crew, level them up, and take on several threats in the galaxy, or just form your own alliance. And of course, it wouldn't be Star Trek without the formidable Klingon Empire, looking to expand with each conquest, or the ever-scheming Romulans, trying to outmaneuver everyone else. With thousands of players and amazing graphics, the game is shaping up to be one of the best mobile games of 2019, so head on over to the Apple or Android store and download it today. Not only would you be supporting my channel in doing so, but also experiencing the Star Trek universe like never before. I'll see you there in the final frontier. So the first theory we'll be looking at here is not the best one ever, but it's actually one that is rooted within the book's theory community, the Pink Letter. Now this theory, which was popularized by YouTuber Preston Jacobs, does make somewhat of an appearance in the show during Season 6, and it also brings with it some interesting potential. Basically, for those of you who are unaware, in the books, Ramsay sends a letter to Jon Snow at Castle Black demanding his bride back, amongst other hostages. This prompts Jon to want to march on Winterfell, and is then betrayed by his brothers in the Night's Watch. In the show, however, Jon receives the letter in Season 6, Episode 4, and only after he is betrayed, and then resurrected. The theory for the Pink Letter is, essentially, someone other than Ramsay wrote it for their own specific purposes. Such people would include Mance Rayder, Tormund Giantsbane, and even Stannis himself. In the show, however, this version of the theory, there is only one culprit, Littlefinger. Throughout the series, Littlefinger has always had a hand in causing conflict amongst other houses and manipulated events in his favor. The theory here is that he needs to find a way to remove the Boltons, take control of the North through Sansa, and gain her trust. The only way to do this is to force her to need his help in removing them from Winterfell, since most of the Northern Lords are either allied with Ramsay or too exhausted from years of fighting in the War of Five Kings. Now, the evidence to back up that Littlefinger is behind this is scarce, but there is enough there to make fans a little curious. The first comes from the wax seal used on the Pink Letter. We're supposed to believe that this letter comes from the Boltons themselves, yet the seal looks different here than what we saw in Season 3, Episode 10, when Ramsay sends a letter to Balon Greyjoy. As you can see, the wax seal is much different than the one we later see in Season 6, Episode 4, when Jon receives the infamous Pink Letter from Ramsay. In the very next episode, Sansa receives a letter from Littlefinger, and the wax seal looks very similar to the one Jon received in the last episode. So basically, Littlefinger wrote the threatening letter to Jon to scare Sansa enough to want his help, then writes her a letter the very next episode to meet up with her and give her the idea that he is their only choice for survival, to which she does end up going to Littlefinger for help later on, as we see in the Battle of the Bastards. The second clue to Littlefinger being behind the Pink Letter is a nice little subtle piece of dialogue that is delivered in the same episode within 30 minutes of each other, actually, and that is, in the Pink Letter, Ramsay says, "Come and see," several times, but before the letter is read out loud, Littlefinger, early on in the episode, says to Robb and Arryn,
"My lord, come and see."
Now, the fact that these clues and hints are very small and scarce is not enough to support the theory that Littlefinger is behind the Pink Letter. However, at the same time, that's what makes it a perfect theory. It's subtle and small enough that only people who are really following closely would get it. But, then again, this list is for theories that would have made the show more amazing if implemented, and we now know that Littlefinger, unfortunately, did not write it. This is confirmed by the episode's director himself, who told Business Insider that Ramsay was the one who wrote it. Personally, I find that incredibly stupid of him to say, considering that theorizing only increases fan obsession and devotion to a series. Offering up hints and clues to something, but never outright giving a concrete answer can be annoying, but in a good way, as fans will strive to uncover secrets and mysteries, and continue watching and praising those behind the scenes. It also gives the series a level of flavor and nuance when something like this is delivered out there, but the director outright striking this theory down is really stupid and unimaginative on his part. He could have kept his mouth shut shot and let fans wonder and speculate since it's all but confirmed, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Next up is the theory that came out of nowhere and is, quite frankly, one of the best theories I've ever read, and if you've been with me for long enough, you probably already know what it is. Time-traveling Bran is behind everything, even the Night King. The theory states that Bran is able to go back in time and influences events within the throne's world that loops around and becomes the timeline that we know. Each time he goes back and the further he goes, the more he is responsible for, and ultimately becomes the very evil he is trying to stop. So basically, Bran has seen the army of the dead, and also knows that there is absolutely no way to beat them, especially after the death and destruction brought on by the War of Five Kings. The country is way too fractured and divided to come together to hold off this threat, and Bran believes that the only way to win is to use his power to go back in time and either prevent this or prepare for the White Walker invasion. He realizes that one of the best weapons against the dead, other than obsidian or Valyrian steel, is fire. Bran's first attempt is to travel back in time and try to convince Daenerys' father, the Mad King Aerys, to use the wildfire on the White Walkers. Bran has heard the stories about how the Mad King burned his grandfather alive with wildfire and how obsessed he is with it. So Bran's thinking here is that he would try and convince Aerys to store enough wildfire for the next 2 decades until the White Walkers come, and at the same time save his own grandfather. But, just like with Hodor, Bran is instead the reason the Mad King's mind breaks. Aerys was always a little crazy, but Bran's tampering is the reason he goes over the edge. And as a result, Bran is unable to convince Aerys about the threat, and everything happens as we know it. The Mad King is killed by Jaime, and Robert becomes king. The second time Bran goes back, he tries to learn how the White Walkers were defeated, but realizes that it's pointless considering their defeat was brought on by the alliance of the Children of the Forest and the First Men. Back in the current timeline, the children are all but extinct, and the realm is divided, so he doesn't get the answer he needs, but instead he influences the building of the Wall and Winterfell to secure his birth in the future, should he fail here. Now, the third time Bran goes back is the final time, and at this point, he has gone back way too far and way too frequent, and as we were told by the Raven,
"It is beautiful beneath the sea, but if you stay too long, you'll drown."
So Bran goes back one last time, and this time he tries to stop the Walkers before they're created. Now, the Children of the Forest made the Walkers to help in a war against the First Men. So what if Bran could go back in time and into the body of a First Men leader, someone who could prevent further bloodshed and negotiate peace between both groups? This way, the Walkers' creation wouldn't be necessary. Bran tries to do this and fails, and is captured by the children. He tries to explain to them about the future and what they're doing, but they gag him, and Bran is, accidentally, turned into not just a White Walker, but the White Walker, one with abilities far beyond any of the others created before. Because of his strong magical abilities, combined with the children's own magic, Bran becomes the Night King. The children inadvertently create something they cannot control because of who that man really was. This theory also explains why the Night King is always so hell-bent on killing the Raven and Bran. He's just trying to close the loop. Bran is the reason everything has happened, and in order to prevent all of this, Bran, as the Night King, needs to kill his future self. It also explains why the Night King and the Walkers have been dormant for so long, and why they've only been so active in the last few decades of the story. They need to create an army to invade and see this through. But the question remains, if Bran is the Night King from another timeline, then why doesn't he just explain everything to the current Bran and not kill anybody? Well, the children made the Walkers with a certain programming in mind, to wipe out the humans. Maybe Bran, as the Night King, is unable to control his body fully due to his exhaustion from all the trips he took and the fact that he never really completed his training. When Bran goes on this mission, he isn't on the same level as the Raven in terms of ability. Not to mention how powerful the magic of the Children of the Forest is, it could be that Bran is constantly fighting a battle between himself and the programming. It could also be that Bran has gone insane. Keep in mind that the Night King was created thousands of years ago, and Bran has been living inside this creature's body without any control for that long. The pain and sorrow of knowing that he failed everyone in his timeline, on top of the loneliness, has probably made him go insane or fully embrace the Night King as his own identity. Being trapped in this creature's body, unable to control it, and always at war with the programming to wipe out humanity. Who knows? Subconsciously, maybe he needs to stop his future self from doing this, and maybe a bit of that seeps through into the Night King, who always seems to target the three-eyed Raven. And I gotta say, as cool as that theory is, it does not come to fruition, as we all know, because the series ends not with any time-traveling plot, but with Bran being king because he has the best story or something dumb. I don't know. I'm still trying to forget how awful that ending was. But guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell, and all that good stuff. And let me know in the comments below what you thought of these theories, as they are some of the best and coolest from the show that could have happened but never did. Personally, I quite enjoy both, but I do love the time-traveling Bran a bit more, and it's even gotten praise from the theory master himself. So do let me know what you think, but as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.